I think spending many hours in a Land Rover, the fact that they're too damned narrow and they're noisy, and what's worse is the heaters are bloody useless. So you can get cold, you can get wet, you can be uncomfortable. What else can I say? Noisy, slow. I kept well away from Land Rovers until I saw this poor Land Rover at the side of the road for 400 quid, and I had a look at it and it was so sad. And I couldn't pass. I had to buy it. And then I had 6 earlier this year, so I don't think I'm really over it yet. My name is Stephen John Orr Cooper, and I am the proprietor of Tardebigge Cider. I'm a craft cider maker, or artisan cider maker. I make cider from 100% apple juice. It started in about 1986, and I had 2 Worcester pomain trees, or was it 3? And they dumped all the fruit on the floor in about 3 minutes. So the first summer, I shoveled all the fruit into the compost heap. The following year, I was ready for it, and with the use of a car jack, a lump of wood, some 3B2, I made myself a little press, and thumping the apples with a piece of wood, made some juice, and made my first gallon of cider. It's tasted mainly of old sack, because I used an old sack to wrap the apples in, and that's how I got started. We have got a draft cider, which is sold either in flagons or in 5-gallon kegs and bagging boxes, and then we have the bottled conditioned cider range. The bottled conditioned ciders are very much different. They have a greater complexity of flavour, but also they're going to be on the dry spectrum, and by and large the British public doesn't like dry cider. Even certain ciders which are advertised as dry have more sugar in them than my sweet cider. First of all, catch your apples. You need apples to make cider. Then you have to mill the apples to break down the structure of the apple, and then you need a press. You don't need a lot of pressure. The press I've got at the moment is only a 50-ton press, but you need to break them down very thoroughly to get the juice, and it's the juice with which you make cider. And people tend to think crushing the apples is cider making. I tend to think of it, that is getting the juice, that's the raw material I need to make my cider. And then the skill of cider making comes in how you guide and make the fermentation take place.
It's not bad at all.
My Land Rovers for this business have a number of functions. Let's start 1. They fetch apples. So the big long wheelbase, we can throw quite considerable weights in the back. So the big black one I use for fetching stuff. It's a very good tow vehicle because it's powerful. We use a long wheelbase which is kitted out with a roof rack, with a built-in bar, with a built-in awning. That's used for doing shows where we sell our cider to the public. If it's going to be muddy, we take that one. If it's a good show, we'll take 2 vehicles, and the black vehicle becomes the stock vehicle because it can take a lot of weight. And then all the equipment and chairs and lightweight stuff goes into the big blue Land Rover that you saw up at the top. Florence is our Series 2. It's got a winch on it, and we use Florence principally in the winter for doing the tree work. We've had a programme in the last 3 years of cutting trees down that affect the light that go into the orchard. So Florence is our forestry vehicle. Also with the back down we can get an indecent amount of wood in the back of it. Tarquin's for bumbling around. Tarquin is our short wheelbase, but it's got a Ford Transit engine in. The very simple 2.5 DI. It's used for trundling about, fetching and carrying. It's just Tarquin really. And if anyone knows the classical reason for it being called Tarquin, it's because somebody once said it was a super bus, but that's a bit of a classics joke. I don't know if any of your readers will get that. The reason why people get so bitten by them, and many years ago in the military I said I'd never have another Land Rover or never own one because they're noisy and rattly and they're actually too narrow. It's because it's a platform and you fit it out to do what you want that vehicle to do. The vehicles for the shows, okay, it's not particularly powerful, but they've got a 180 watt amplifier in them. They've got inverters to run mains powered equipment. They've got mixers, so microphones can be used. We can play music to support events. We can provide microphones if people want to have musical instruments mic'd up. We've got lighting sets on them for running at night. So they're vehicles that fit the purpose we want, and I think that's part of the attraction, that most people make their Land Rover their personal vehicle. It's what they made it.